Intensity Techniques, Volume 1. All right, guys and girls, we've had a request for, Chris, would you talk through all the various different intensity techniques that you use over the course of your lifting career and with clients? And I actually love this topic because even though you've seen them sprinkled in all of my training videos, maybe a detailed explanation about why, when to place them where I do, and which exercises are gonna be optimal for those. Because there are times and places for everything. So what we're gonna start with here is what I view as the most logical place is a rest pause set. This was originally presented to the bodybuilding community by Dante Trudel. So if you have been following any related to bodybuilding since the late 90s, early 2000s, you know Dante Trudel has played a vital role in teaching guys how to get absolutely enormous. So I credit this technique all to him. I know there's some other people who have done some various different things, cluster sets, things of that nature. Shoot, you've even seen me kind of rip it off a little bit and could do a Chris Paul set where I've just added on top of it. But the originator to me in my world is Dante Trudel with Dog Crapp training. And the premise of this is to give you 3 mini sets at a very heavy weight and to see how many total reps you can get. So you see me do it in this video at West Main, for example, with doing stretch curls. So let me start by explaining the whole thought process. I want to get 1 or 2 warm-up sets, maybe a feeder set or 2, depending upon where I place in the workout. And then I want to get into a weight that's going to challenge me anywhere between 10 and 15 reps. I want to go to failure. So go until I cannot get 1 more full range of motion rep. Then I sit it down, and there are 2 ways to do this. You can take 10 big, huge, deep breaths, or to simply count to a slow 20. Either one work well. I know some people, they have a problem. I've given it to them and I've seen them do it in person like, no. If you're gonna do the breath technique properly, it's roughly a 5 count. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and that's 1 singular breath. So that's why I said count to a slow 20. So if I'm doing that, if I'm counting to 20, I'm gonna go 1, 2, 3, and so forth, all the way to 20. I don't wanna rush it. This isn't a fast process because I do wanna regain enough strength to where I can get at least half of what I got on set number 1. So using that example, let's say I did the stretch curl, I got 12 full range of motion reps and 1 partial, so 12 and a half. On set number 2, I want to get at least 6, more like 7. If I do that, I know that the rest period in between set 1 and set 2, and I always will call those mini sets, is an adequate amount of time. Then do the same thing, set the weight down, count to a slow 20 or take 10 deep breaths and go again. With this, I want to get half of the second set. So let's say I got 7, I want to get anywhere between 3, 4, and maybe even 5. And by the end of that 3rd mini set, I should have fully exhausted that target muscle. So a rest pause set. So it's 3 miniature sets within 1. I would only count that as 1 working set, even though technically it's 3 little ones. So the premise of this is, let's say doing these stretch curls, I have 40 pounds on each arm. There's no way I will be able to get, using my example, so I did 12, I did 7, so I'm at 19 plus 4 is 23. There's no way I'll be able to do 23 straight reps with that weight. But if I do 3 mini sets and take 2 short rest periods in between set 2 and set 3, that's gonna allow me to get more reps with a heavier load. So the great thing about this is it allows you to fully tax that muscle without doing a drop set, right? Because in order to match that on a drop set, I would have to do, say, 12 in the first set, reduce it to 20 and get at least 10 more, or technically 10 plus 1. So I'm looking at a 12 and a set of 11 to match those 23 reps, but that second set of 11 would be with less weight. So you could argue less weight equals less muscle growth. So it's 2 different thought processes. So I don't want to get you guys confused. Drop set will come later, but today it's rest pause. So again, the premise of this is to simply take that muscle to absolute failure. Now, a lot of times what you'll see me do at the end of this rest pause is do a weighted stretch. So all I'm gonna do is keep that weight in my hand. So I'd say I did my 4th rep with those stretch curls, and I come all the way down, I'm gonna sit in a fully straightened arm and just let those biceps stretch like crazy and the weight pulling me down and back. A lot of times with that, you'll even see me flex my triceps. So you look at the side here, that's kind of a stretch. That is a full stretch because my bicep is fully lengthened by shortening the tricep, the antagonistic muscle. So cool little tip and trick for you guys. A lot of times you might see me do this on, say, a lat pull down, and I'll just sit in the weighted hang and just let that weight pull me up. So I'll do an additional 20, 30, or even 40 seconds of a weighted stretch to finish off that rest pulse, to take it up a notch into the next level of pain and growth. So next up, you'll say, Chris, where do I want to place these? You can do these all over the place. You can do it exercise 1, 2, 3, or the last. To me, that's what's great about this. As long as you adequately warm up, I'm fine doing it from the start to the finish. It does not matter. It's a great way to like really wake you up. Let's say you're dragging and you're in the gym, say you're doing a back day, start on that pull downs, do 2 warm-ups of 10 to 15, do 2 fill sets of 5 and 6, and then literally pin that weight and go 3 mini sets with a stretch. You're talking about waking you up and energizing you? Man, to me, I've always loved that kick in the teeth. Like, it's most relatable to football in my opinion, right? I love being a kick returner because if I started the game, return a kick, get hammered, or score a touchdown, that's a lightning bolt up my ass. I'm gonna be wired the rest of that game. So, again, with this rest pause, again, place it anywhere. The second to last piece that I want to talk about here is rep range. So you notice I said I want to pick a weight that puts me roughly in the 10 to 15 range. You could obviously drive that lower if you wanted to. You could say 8 to 10 for set 1, but I've never liked that lower of reps towards the end. Because you think about that, like let's say I do a set of 8 for set 1, I need to get 4 and then 2. I would rather take that weight down just a little bit and get 10 to 12 on set 1. It just feels a lot better to me. At this point of my bodybuilding career, when I was earlier in bodybuilding and had 0 joint issues, no back pain, no back issues, I'd have probably no problems doing 8 to 10 on that first mini set. So I tend to go a little bit north. If you're even older than me and have even more joint issues, somebody just take that number north. So you want to hit first set around 20, second around 10 or 12, and the last one around 5 to 6. And that's gonna put you in a much better spot there. So same level of intensity, the rep range is just driven north. Final piece of rest pause, and that is the exercise selection. Now, of all of these, this is probably the most important, which is why I saved it for last. What I want you to think about here, guys, is the safety of the exercise. So machines, cables, all great options. What I don't tend to like are things that require a lot of stabilization or that are hard to get into place. So let's start with hard to get into place. Incline dumbbell press, a dumbbell shoulder press, I'm never gonna choose those. Why? Think about kicking those up every time. So let's say I'm doing a set of 12 and this is exercise 3 in rotation, I'm gonna probably use the 120s or 130s. By the time I have to kick those up the 3rd time, I'm wasting too much energy. So I'm never gonna opt for, like I said, a dumbbell press, but a barbell press I'm perfectly fine with, a Smith machine press, a hammer strength incline, all those work exceptionally well. Other things I don't want to probably do this on are deadlifts or squats. It's just a safety issue, guys. I would not opt to do rest pulls on deadlifts or free weight squats. A Smith machine, if you had a good spotter, you could probably argue it, but I would feel much safer in a leg press, a leg extension, hack squat, true squat, something that where if I bottom that thing out, it's not gonna break me. It's just a matter of safety. So again, when you're picking exercise selection for these rest pulls, that's the one area where I would really put some thought into it. You wanna pick a muscle and an exercise that matches that muscle. So if we're doing back, say, hey, Chris, I want to really hit my upper back. So be smart, maybe a pronated T-bar row would be a great option. But if you're looking at, say, a bent over barbell row, I probably wouldn't opt for that because every time you're either having to do a rack pull or having to deadlift it off the floor before doing rep 1. So it's all about energy expenditure there. And I want to think about a rest pause if I've done right, is gonna gas me. And I don't want to get extra energy or effort outside of the set working that muscle. So if you look at that as a whole, guys, rest pulls, I love them. I do them weekly for all my body parts because it's a good way to test me. And if you are a journal guy, this is incredible, right? So when I look at this as a total, I don't look at this as a singular number. I look at it as a total for all 3 sets. So let's say we're doing this stretch curl that we just talked about. Let's say day 1, I got 23 reps. When I come back, I have to beat 23 total reps. And I know when I come in, let's say I hit 12 on the first one again, I'm like, oh shit. I'm gonna have to catch it on those last 2nd or 3rd set if I wanna beat the number of 23 to drive that up, which in turn will drive progress and growth. So if you like this video, guys, like, share, and subscribe, and we'll have more of these coming up with intensity techniques. This is volume 1, the rest pulse.